afternoon. Welcome to the Business Link live show. I'm just need to check where I am. So today is it's the fifth show, I think it's so. So welcome to this May 24th episode of the Business Lincolnshire live show. It's the fifth live show of the year. My name's Guy Lewis, and these shows have been going on for about 3 years now, since April 2021. With the idea that they engage with businesses across Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland about topics that are affecting them, answering questions and sharing the support that is available to you all as business owners. So remember, if you want to engage with us and you want us to send us some live message or questions, the best way to do this is through the event chat on the LinkedIn event, which hopefully you'll find that. I'll try and post some links there as we go along, so you'll see that's working quite well. And say, if you send, there's a bit of a time delay, so don't worry if I don't get to your questions right. I'll come and catch it later on. So on this month's show, we're talking specifically about the creative sector and the support that is available in Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland, and specifically how this is provided through both Business Lincolnshire and the East Midlands Creative Consortium, which is the consortium between Lincolnshire, Leicestershire and Derbyshire that provides that Create Growth programme. I'm pleased to say that we have two guests today who will be sharing their insights on the sector and also providing more details of the programme and future events. I'd first like to introduce Sally Denton. Now, just bear with me a sec while I bring Sally into the studio. Here we go. Great. So Sally Denton. So Sally is the Executive Director at Lincoln University, supporting the development of the Barbican Creative Hub, which you'll talk about in a minute, overseeing that major capital build project of a Grade 2 listed building. She's also co-delivering the Arts Council MPO project and also local delivery of the Create Growth programme. Hi, Sally. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hi, Guy. Thank you for inviting us along today. Really excited to chat to everybody about all the great things that are going on with the Barbican Creative Hub.
Brilliant. So that's a really good place to start then. So tell me more about the Barbican Centre Creative Hub, because I know this thing's happening, and we can talk about all the things about where we're up to. So over to you.
Yeah, so we're progressing really well. It's as you mentioned, it's a capital build project, predominantly that £3.7 million capital build project that's funded through the Towns Deal Fund, supported by the City Council, Lincolnshire Co-op, and obviously the University of Lincoln. So the Barbican actually sits within the university's support for the creative sector, and we are part of the Barbican Creative Hub is part of a number of entities that sit under the Centre for Culture and Creativity within the university, which is a sort of think and do tank. And that includes the Lincoln Arts Centre, Transported, and also as well Design Nation. So some really, really nice, exciting projects to sit alongside. The Barbican itself, as I mentioned, is a capital programme, but also as well, it's so much more than that. The goal of it really is to support the Lincolnshire's creative and cultural industries. And that means that we are going to be supporting some of the 3,000 plus businesses and freelancers within the Greater Lincolnshire area. And that includes 14 different subsectors. So that can be art to architecture, publishing to product, curators, craftspeople, fashion, film, you name it. It's pretty much represented within the groups that we want to support.
Yeah, I think you're really surprised, aren't you? Really surprised that there's the breadth of that creative sector. When you go through the headlines, saying, "Am I in the creative sector?" It is so wide, and therefore really important that there's actually something that supports that sector itself, that in the breadth of it, rather than even if it's specific, it's still quite a wide group.
And also as well, I think it dovetails really nicely into some of the already existing hubs and activities that are happening in Lincoln and across the county. So if you think about projects like Mosaic, the terrace up in Lincoln that's supported by the City Council, and then things like Craig Grimsby and the work that they're doing in the film industry, the Casbah, etc. It's a really nice addition to that space. and to be honest, a much needed addition to that space. When you look at most cities around the UK, they have a number of hubs, and it's very easy to identify where to go, how to access the creative sector. In Lincoln and Lincolnshire, it's a little bit less obvious because of that geographical spread, because of the position the industry is in at the moment. It can be a little bit difficult if you are looking to do some business to business work, or you're looking to support the creative industries. Where do you find them? How do you get access to them? So that's something the Barbican Creative Hub really wants to do, is bring together that and support that ecosystem that sits around the creative industries.
Mm-hmm. And what's the time for? What's the progress and timescale at the moment? So where are we with this?
Yeah, so actually we're hoping to get our, what I would say is the proverbial keys in December and open in early January 2025. Because it's a grade 2 listed building, there's obviously a huge amount of work that's going in behind the scenes. So really super grateful to all of the construction team, the designers, the architects, a whole host of people who are supporting. I'm obviously not doing this single-handedly. And it's progressing ever since we started work in February. Most people in Lincoln will have seen the hoardings that went up, sort of saying that the project's coming. And we're going at a really rapid rate of knots, to be honest, whilst preserving and protecting all of the great heritage and architectural features that are in there. We've really tried to celebrate what went before. What most people might not know, before it was the Barbican Hotel, actually it was a Victorian club where they would play billiards, they would have had reading rooms, etc. So I feel like it's gone full circle and it's coming back to what it originally was intended to do. But obviously this time it's a lot broader and a lot more welcoming of lots of different other sectors. And we actually also, as well, within some of the components, there will be access from the general public. It's not just a closed shop. It's not just for the sector. There are elements where we want to engage with local tourists, people visiting the region, and get them understanding what the depth and breadth and the beautiful products and designs our creative industries create.
Okay, I've got a video. You gave me a video. Do you want me to play that? Because actually, there's probably a couple of questions that might come from the video as we play it through. Or
yeah, that'd be lovely. That'd be great.
Let me add that to the stage to see if the tech works.
That just about worked, didn't it?
That was great. I thought, Yeah, I thought it worked a treat. I always like to include all our sponsors and all the sponsors of the project at the end. I think it's really important. So really sort of mixture of sort of co-working spaces, studios, meeting rooms, conference rooms, artists. I like that idea, artists in residence. I mean, is that when you sort of say open up to the public as well, that they can come and see that work and stuff?
Yeah, so when you look at it, actually for a creative hub, it's actually, it's a lovely grand building, but actually it's quite a relatively small building. It's about 7,000 square foot of usable space. Mm-hmm. So we've really tried to sweat the asset as much as possible. So nearly everything about the project can be moved and changed. So if you look at the ground floor, there's a lovely sort of white cube space that could be done for talks. It could be for small exhibitions. And actually also as well for R&D. So a business can hire it for the day, load it up with 3D printers, etc., and use it however they wish. On the right-hand side of the building is the cafe bar, and again we sort of see that as being able to really work and as another event space. So if you're hosting an exhibition, you might want to be in the cafe bar for receptions, etc. But also as well, we sort of see it both as a general, like you would use a coffee bar to come and work from or meet clients, but also as well, the general public will definitely want to sit under that beautiful dome in the centre of the building. And yes, we are having a tree in the centre. We wanted it as a bit of a nod to the Victorian heritage of it. But then also as well, when you go up on the other floors, as you say, there's a bit mix of co-working space, meeting rooms, and also as well on the first floor, we are really looking to encourage businesses that really support the ecosystem. So whereas we maybe are a little bit different from most creative hubs, we are really looking at within that first floor to have those businesses that maybe are a little bit more established, that are working with smaller businesses, community groups, etc. So they can bring their community with them, and so we sort of get double the hit. And then in the members space, that also as well doubles up as an event space as well. And then the creatives in residence space is also as well an amazing opportunity for us to support those grassroots organisations and individuals. And again, because we support the full breadth and depth of creative industries, we've made it very much feel creatives in residence rather than just looking at art. So again, there's going to be a call out happening soon, where we're going to be asking for applications. These are subsidised spaces, so those going into that space will have that space for free, and they'll get loads of wraparound support as well to help them grow and develop. And for some of those bigger creatives in residence space, we're really hoping that a couple of the local grassroots organisations might bring their artists, their creatives, their designers into that space, because we think that ensures that those spaces get used 24/7 and really benefit the local community.
Okay, so I've popped the website address into the LinkedIn comment chat. But it's also now shown on the screen because this is recorded. This will be available on the Business Lincolnshire YouTube channel as well as the LinkedIn channel. So I'll pop that up so people can see it and they can maybe jot it down, or they can see it in the chat. And probably it's worth where's the barbecue is a big project of yours that's going to. There's quite a lot of other stuff involved with the creative sector in terms of the business support for the creative sector. Tell me a bit more about that side, if you can.
Yeah, so from the day that I joined the university, we talked about how we really wanted the building to be a showcase and a central hub and a point of reference. And obviously we're in this beautiful location that, is second to none, being opposite the train station. At the moment you enter the city, you see the Barbican. But we also know that, in reality, most businesses will be spread across the county. So the likelihood of you travelling in every day to work, if you're in Skegness is maybe a little bit unrealistic. So we've always seen it as this sort of more wraparound support, working with our partners across the region. And two projects, obviously we're going to come on to East Midlands Create Growth, but just to sort of kick off in terms of projects that I'm running at the moment, I also work on the University of Lincoln was given National Portfolio Organisation status by the Arts Council England, which is actually a really big deal. We're one of very few universities to be awarded that status, and so it's a £250,000 a year support package to the university. Working in partnership with Lincoln Arts Centre, we deliver a whole host of programming, and it's really, really innovative and very much obviously targeted towards the arts. We've just reached our first anniversary back in the end of March, and already to date we've supported 37 artists, have been directly supported through the programme. We've invested 114,000 into artists in the region through commissions and fees. And also as well, for my part, I've also delivered 4 major conferences, of which we had over 450 people come to, where we sort of addressed some of the big topics that are happening within the arts and creative sector. So things like we did a conference on social prescribing, which was really well attended, and we interspersed creative activities all the way through. So we kicked off with a beautiful song supporting a mental health charity in Gainsborough. We had a art exhibition that supported social prescribing. It was linked to Dr. Robert Dean's research within social prescribing. So beautiful event. But one of the ones I'm super proud of as well is a event called Future Perspectives, which we held back in February, where we tried to look at how we can tackle climate change through a sort of multidisciplinary approach. There was over 150 people that attended, and that ranged from people from Innovate UK. The 2 of the local RAF bases attended, because we had this sort of host of national and local speakers across the board, from architects to product designers. And we tried to do a little bit of a nod to the region as well. So Christopher Rayburn came and spoke, who creates all of his products or from ex-military, RAF parachutes, things like that. So hence we were able to attract the RAF. And then we also had a company called Full Grown, who basically they grow furniture from trees. They're based in Derbyshire, and they grow the furniture. They've worked with the likes of Louis Vuitton. They've been exhibited around the world, and very, very unique. But again, it was a nod to that sort of local agriculture and landscape, etc. Because again, something that's really important for me is when we're working in this region is to really understand and represent what is local. We could do a cookie cutter approach and just go, hey, we're going to set up a hub, but actually I think when you understand the region and you understand its strengths, that's what makes us unique and beautiful in terms of being able to offer something very new and unique.
Oh, sorry, good. So you mentioned that. So that's the wider brief of you with the University of Lincolnshire Art Council and the MPO programme. And like you say, lots of things in there that are both art, covering the art sector and creative. If we then go on to that you talked about the sort of the local and regional East Midlands Create Growth programme that you're involved with. Yeah,
so at the same time, as if I'm not busy enough, I'm also working on the East Midlands Create Growth programme, working with Business Lincolnshire. And again, it's an amazing project. It's 1.3 million of tailored support programme funded through DCMS. and it's designed to help businesses scale up and get investment ready. The project actually was started before I joined the organisation, but basically it's a consortium of organisations across Derbyshire, Leicestershire, Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland. And that includes universities, city council and local enterprise business partnerships, with Leicester City Council being the accountable body. And for the localised support, the Barbican and the University and Business Lincolnshire are providing that localised support. So it's a really, really big project. It's a really important project because, again, I think the creative industry sometimes gets it overlooked in terms of that growth potential, but actually as a sector, we know the value that the industry is worth. So, you know, we're worth around 126 billion as a creative and cultural economy. And sometimes everybody sees the creative sector as very visual and aesthetic, but actually we're also as well a really important sector in business.
Okay, I was just trying to capture your slide there. It talked about Leicestershire, Leicestershire, Derby, and Derbyshire. So the East Midlands Creative covers all them three areas and run, like you say, from the Leicester centre. And how do you get involved with the with that programme?
Yeah, so I obviously sit on things like the steering groups and get involved in some of that feed through on that more regional level. But in terms of East Midlands Create Growth, it's actually split into sort of two main areas. So we have the main programme, which I know obviously yourself is involved in, where business across the whole region can get access to a series of workshops, mentoring, investment readiness, and it brings together actually the four different counties that are involved in the project, and allows a bit of peer-to-peer networking, and you can see your counterparts and you can learn and gain information from there. I know Deborah is going to talk a little bit about this, so I won't go into too much depth on the main programme, but obviously we have another 3 cohorts that we're looking to support. And I do really, really recommend businesses, because there's nothing better than taking time out, learning about the process of growing your business, but also as well getting to meet others who are in a similar position and learning from one another too. In terms of myself, we have a localised programme. So we deliver a series of standalone workshops that will support creative businesses in Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland. And we've already hosted 2 workshops on the art of selling and future-proofing your business. And we have a really, really exciting lineup of events and speakers. And the next event is a social selling event delivered in 3 parts with Sam Rattling. Now, Sam, for anybody who's not come across her, she is an absolute whiz in terms of social selling. Just in my pre-meeting with her, I cannot tell you how many things I learnt, and I thought I was really, really good at Instagram and LinkedIn, and I realised I knew probably about half of what I need to know in order to be successful in that space. So the first workshop is on LinkedIn and social selling fundamentals, and takes place on the 12th of June online. As you say, there's the link to the Eventbrite where you can book a place. It's totally free, and I promise you that you will learn absolute loads. And then we have 2 more with her, which will then sort of delve further into the process. You can come to them as a standalone event, or you can come to all 3. It's totally up to you. But just to give you a snapshot, Sam has raised over 168 million in new business with the companies that she's worked with on social selling across LinkedIn and other social platforms. And she's also named as Yahoo Finance as one of the top 10 global experts within LinkedIn. So I promise you it'll be absolutely great. And also as well, what's really lovely about Sam is she also has a background in the creative industries as well. So she will understand where you're coming from. I think when we look at growth, we're always looking at it, you might look at it as in funding and investment, but actually we know sometimes the most important way to grow your business is actually to sell, to generate income for your business, either through selling more to existing clients or to find new clients. And so that prospecting across social media, I think, is really important. And so the reason why we wanted that to be one of the first workshops that we kicked off with.
Okay, I think I've got a slide. I'm just sorry, with a pause there, because I'm trying to find a slide that just really was backing up some things you were talking about, the ones that are involved, the sort of professions that are involved in the creative sector that are all included in all this support. And through all my stuff here, I'm trying to get to the right slide. There we go. I know where it is now, at least. So I just wanted to show that this is something you talked about very early on, was that with the creative sector, it's advertising and marketing. It's right through, you've got all sorts of performing arts, IT, gaming, etc. So all this group is covered by your that sort of local program, the LinkedIn, the events you're doing.
Yes, definitely, and also as well, I just think it's, as I say, it's probably very overdue to sort of support these particular sectors. Obviously, we tend to think in terms of growth, in terms of advertising and marketing and the more digital businesses, but I do think there's opportunities out there elsewhere. The other thing I think that's really important around that is the link to the DCMS Create Growth funding as well. So not only can you get that localized support, you can get that regional support, but also as well, one of the key things is at the moment the government has hosted or has launched their latest competition, and that is for micro, small and medium-sized enterprises within the creative industries. And you can apply for funding between £10,000 to £30,000 on innovation projects that help to grow your business. It's only open to East Midland Create Growth areas. You don't need to be on the programme to apply, but obviously being part of that helps that journey. The only thing I would say is the timelines. You need to get your application in by the 19th of June. So if anybody does need any support or has any questions about it, they can always email me. I think you're going to do the email at the end, but again, I would really recommend for people to apply. I think this is the last competition that's going to be run in this format. One of the things that I think we'll find is competition will be strong, but it's important that we get representation from the area. And in round one, we actually had 2 successful businesses from the Lincolnshire area. So it is possible, you know, to get 2 businesses within that first round is amazing. So yeah, please make sure you get your applications in. It would be lovely to see some more success from Lincolnshire and Rutland.
No, indeed, and I will put your email. In fact, I'll put it up now while I'm here. There we go. So obviously, you want to get in touch with Sally. There we are. I'll put that on LinkedIn, so it's there as well. And you could obviously also go direct through to that sort of East Midlands Creates Growth address as well, and almost like, you know, all roads lead to us. So whatever happens,
yes,
you know, just get in touch. And I think that the point you make there, Sally, is that competition end date of the 16th of June. Is it 16th of June?
19th, I think
19th
it is.
19th of June. Oh, I thought it was even closer. 19th of June, you know, that doesn't leave a long time. So act now if it's something you're interested in doing. And I think, as you said there, Si, this you think may be the last competition or the last grant competition, i.e. that in this format. There could be other competitions, but they may be a sort of a different agenda or attracting a different type of business.
Yes, definitely. And then the
Brilliant.
last thing, just before, I think we'll pass over to Deborah for her to sort of deep dive in terms of the content. But the last thing I want to just mention is we also as well have been doing a piece of work under the East Midlands Create Growth. Part of it is to act as a hub, which obviously the Barbican is well placed to do, to support the local sector. And again, I think helping investors to understand why they should invest in and support the creative industries, but also as well bring business insights to both the businesses and organisations working in this area too, has been really important. So we undertook a piece of data analysis. So the Barbican Creative Hub was developed based on a piece of research by a company called Tom Fleming. But that was pre-COVID, so we wanted to check that the creative industries were still strong and vibrant, etc. So we undertook a piece of work with a company called Data Culture Change, where we looked at both the changing demographics of the Greater Lincolnshire area, audience development, and also as well the state of the industry in terms of data for the creative industries. And it's been super enlightening, and already it's been really helpful for even for myself, for bid writing, for championing both in the UK and internationally the region. And so we're hosting a Decoding Greater Lincolnshire event on the 2nd of July at the Think Tank on the university campus. Not only are we sharing our data, but we've also asked a number of organisations to share their data around young people, happiness, well-being, tourism, you name it. We've tried to include it to create a sort of show and tell event, helping us to get a bit of a better understanding of what our county looks like and how it looks and feels now. And I'm really pleased to say that the sector is really still quite strong. When you look at Lincoln alone, 11% of all new limited company businesses in Lincoln are from the creative sector. Now, I'm sure places like Mosaic and the Terrace and soon to be ourselves are having a really big impact on that. But it just shows you how strong and how vibrant our industry is. The national average is around just over 9%. And if you take the county as a whole, we're not quite hitting that, but there are definitely pockets such as South Stevenston, North Stevenston, Lincoln, and a few others that are generally hitting those measures. And also as well, as I say, there's loads of beautiful little pockets of the creative sector, from film hubs in Grimsby and to crafts in Sleaford. There's lots of really interesting things happening. So it will be really good to share that and help everybody to understand what that looks like. So if you follow us on our LinkedIn or Instagram, etc., there will be posting news about that shortly as well. So yeah, it's good to share, as they say.
Good. And no, absolutely. And I think that event on the 2nd of July would be worth looking at. I don't know if we've got any links for that. I'll try and find something for the end of the show if there's something we can put on there. If not, I'll add it to the chat after the show so that people can see that, because it may be something you're interested in. Thanks, Sally, for the moment. Don't go away. I'm gonna drop you out the studio, but I'll bring you back later in case any more questions or any sort of final things, something you want to sort of finalise on. So thanks for that so far. I shall see you very, very shortly. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to bring Deborah into the studio. Deborah is a professional marketer. She's co-lead in the Create Growth program, delivering to businesses on the first cohort of Create Growth, and the lead in delivering of digital support through the Business Lincolnshire Business Support program. Hi, Deborah. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good, thank you, Guy. Thank you.
Good. Patiently waiting in the wings there. And you actually now want to talk more about the national Create Growth program, I guess, with Sally talking about that more regional view. You're talking the sort of East Midlands Creative Consortia program. I've got some slides you sent me, so I'm going to put them up if you want, and we can just have a trot through, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. So I guess the sort of the initial thing to say is that I'm co-director at CDI Alliance with yourself, Guy, and
Indeed.
through a process of tendering, CDI Alliance won to deliver the initial pilot program of Create Growth, and then subsequently we are delivering cohorts 3 and 5, with 2 and 4 being delivered by Greenborough Management Limited. If I get that correct, yeah. And so we're, but as a whole, both businesses, CDI Alliance and Greenborough, are consultancy businesses who specialise in delivering support to businesses within creative sectors or creative sectors and scale up businesses, and really Create Growth is very much in that niche. So it's a programme that's fully funded through DCMS, and it comprises of bespoke support for the businesses that's delivered through boot camps, masterclasses, mentoring, and sort of some diagnostic sort of one-to-one support. And the idea of the programme is that it helps creative businesses identify their unique barriers to growth and sort of barriers to investment readiness, or to help them start thinking about what the stages they might need to go through to be more investment ready. So by that, I mean, we're not an investment readiness program, but we do have little bits about understanding funding and kind of getting people to think about what their numbers are and what they'd like their numbers to be. But to be investment ready, getting the leaders of the business to think about, actually, can that business run without them? Are there systems and processes in place that automate parts of the business? Do they have structures in place that allows them to step back from the business so that they are not 100% of their time is not spent on delivery, but it can be spent on the strategic elements of the business, so really driving it forward.
Okay, I'm just going to move on. So the Create Growth Program, that's what it is: peer support, the network, that sort of the boot camp diagnostics. And I'm going to put a slide around eligibility, I guess.
Eligibility, yeah. So it's fairly broad. So got to be in the creative industries, obviously. Businesses that have been trading for 2 years, located in Leicestershire, Derbyshire, Greater Lincolnshire or Rutland. Sally ran through this. Companies that are looking to grow their turnover at sort of a minimum level of 10% year on year, and that have created a product or are looking to create a new product or something innovative, or it might be a service, or they might have launched some new technology, or they might be reaching a new market. So it's all about kind of the business understanding and having that passion to want to grow, to be honest.
And but we found as well that this isn't sort of black and white, is it? That no. While there are guidelines, there's some flexibility in this.
There is flexibility in there. I mean, the best thing to do, really, I would say, is to get in touch and have a conversation with us, and we can either chat about onboarding you to the Create Growth Programme or signpost you to alternative support programs. So if you're you might be sort of pre-startup, then we can signpost you to a sort of pre-startup program. It might be that you're not quite eligible because it's maybe not quite creative industry. I mean, there are specific standard industrial classification codes that we need to adhere to, but it might be that we can point you to a program that's more suited to your industry. It might be that you don't have the correct level of turnover, but it might be that you just need a little bit of support in one area. We can signpost people on, but like I say, the best thing that people really can do is get in touch, have a chat with us, and then if you're eligible, and we can onboard you. And if you're not, then we won't just leave you hanging. We will signpost you somewhere else.
Yeah, and I suppose that ties in with, actually what a creative sector business looks like at that sort of scale up size. That if you're looking manufacturing, you can put these figures of X amount of growth or X amount of people or so many years of trading. Whereas what you see in creative businesses, they can be very micro-sized businesses that explode into lots of freelancers and contractors.
Absolutely, so certainly some of the businesses that I've spoken to on board for cohort 3, on paper they look like they're a one employee business. So they might be a limited company, but they might only be themselves in it, or they might be a sole trader. But actually, once you start having that conversation with the business owner, they're accessing lots of freelancers around them to deliver on projects. So that owner or sole trader might lead on the project. They might be the face of the business. That might be what people are buying into. But in reality, they've got a support team around them. Just because they're not on the payroll full-time, part-time, permanent, doesn't mean that you're not creating jobs within the creative sector. So like I say, it's about having that conversation with the business owner and actually extracting this information, because we want them to be eligible. We want them to go onto the program. So having the dialogue with them really kind of opens that up.
Whack an expression of interest in, and let's have the conversation. I mean, for saying that, some of the biggest production companies in TV, and I've been in media a long time, some of the biggest production companies, independents, they actually have got 3 full-time employees. 3. And yet in production, they'll go to hundreds. A really big employer of talent and skills of the creative sector. But actually, as a business on paper, very, very small. Okay. So just moving thinking into the sort of, let's look at timelines a little bit, because I know you're talking about cohort 3. So I'm just going to add our little timeline bit there. So just as a reminder.
So cohort 3 says on their schedule to start in late May is actually not, well, it is, we've started, because we've started doing the diagnostics. So the diagnostic is an initial conversation that takes place between the business owner and either myself or Guy, and it's about us getting you to think about different facets of your business and kind of rank yourself. And it's useful because it provides us as deliverers of the program with a really good view of actually what's going on in your business, and it can help shape the content that we deliver at the bootcamp or on the masterclasses. But actually, for the person on the other side that's sort of giving the answers, it really gets them thinking about stuff they may never have considered to be part of their business. So I've had conversations with people, and like we get people to score themselves 1 to 10, and I've had a couple of conversations where people have gone, can I just put 0 there, because I've never even thought about this. It's brilliant. So we've started delivering cohort 3, but we do still have a few spaces available. The bootcamp session, which kicks off getting everybody together for that first session, is on Wednesday the 5th of June. Let me just check that is correct. Yes, that is correct. Wednesday the 5th.
That's next week.
That is next week. So if you are interested and you are available on Wednesday the 5th of June, then do get in touch. Sort of today or tomorrow, I would suggest, because we need to do an onboarding and we need to do a diagnostic. There's about 3 hours work to do before the actual session, and then our 5th cohort we will start on October the 18th. That's correct, isn't it? Yes. No, October the 16th. The 16th of October. I knew this.
It's catching. I always get my dates wrong.
It is. It's Wednesday, the 16th of October will be the bootcamp session for cohort 5. So again, if you're not available for next Wednesday for that bootcamp session, then get in touch anyway, because we can chat to you about cohort 5. If you're not available for cohort 5, then Greenborough Management, they're currently delivering cohort 2, so that's kicked off already. They're well into that program, but they've got another cohort 4, which will start in September. So just because you get in touch with CDI Alliance doesn't exclude you from Greenborough. If you can't make our dates, then we will obviously pass you on to Greenborough, vice versa, working together to get the results.
Okay. We've probably covered this, but I've got a slide for it, so I might as well show you. So there was the idea of the sort of the things that we do as CDI and the things that Greenborough do. I was going to add that to the stage. I think you've talked us through a bit of that, haven't you, about how that works?
Yeah, so the health check is what we refer to as the diagnostic. Then we've got the boot camp, so that's the in-person day. Do all sorts of things at that session in terms of the vision for your business, and then thinking about a little bit of detail on how you're going to get there. But we do it in quite a what's the word? Sort of graphical sense. Trying to think how to describe it, rather than sort of someone taking away a business plan that's a written document. This is kind of just getting it all down on one sheet of paper in front of you and really getting you to think about the impact of one element of your business on the other. It all comes together really well. Then we run into some online masterclasses. Some of the content of these is fed from that initial sort of business health check. But it covers things like leadership and marketing, contingency and succession planning. Lots of people are going into business and not really thinking about how they're going to get out at the other end. Things around understanding funding. Also some things in there around confidence, sort of personal confidence. And then all the programme accesses mentor support as well. So ours is a combination, CDI Alliance's interpretation of the Create Growth programme is a combination of that boot camp, which is in person, and then it's all online, so it's quite accessible. And then Greenborough, if you want to do the next slide, please. Greenborough do a business diagnostic as well. And then they have 5 3-hour in-person sessions covering specific subjects, business model and innovation, markets and customers, leadership, people, processes, finance and funding, and business growth plans. And they also run some Ask the Expert Q&A sessions, which are a little bit like fireside chat online webinars. They also run a Slack networking group, and their program takes place across 12 weeks. Through that, again, you can access the mentoring support that is part of the Create Growth program nationally.
I think that's my next slide, and that was available to all. That sort of one-to-one mentoring, 4 or 5 hours of mentoring.
Yeah,
an industry expert, someone who's worked in the sector, I guess.
Yeah.
And also then that signposting to investment readiness that was talked about as the overall thing.
Yeah. So some businesses that come on the Create Growth program don't go on to the investment readiness program, but it does kind of lead into it, but they can be also standalone. And so the investment readiness program is 12 hours of support, led by Lincolnshire Business Angels. Then they kind of construct the dates according to how many people they can get together for a specific time frame. So it's kind of quite flexible in terms of accessibility.
Brilliant. I'm just going to go next slide again, because you delivered cohort 1. I got some great feedback. I mean, there's a couple there on screen. The thought that people are getting everything they want out of it and could always come back for more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was just having a look through some of the bits and bobs from cohort 1 in preparation for this, and someone had said that they felt that the boot camp alone gave them fantastic perspective and insight, and enabled them to identify gaps and areas that they needed to work on, and they felt energized about progressing their work. It's like, well, that's actually quite a good result for just a day. And then the sort of end feedback, like Johnny had said there, and Damien, has been really, really strong, and people feel ready to take the next steps in their business, really.
Okay, I'm going to go back to the slide, because the final one there is applying. There's at least 3 things that you can do: phone, go on the website, or actually just drop an email. to the Creatives Code, or obviously try and get in touch with you or me?
Absolutely, yeah. More than happy for people to drop me an email, Deborah@cdialliance.co.uk, and then if have an initial chat, or signpost you to East Midlands Creative Consortium, or whatever the right thing is for your business. So there's lots of points of entry, but I think you said all roads lead to us, didn't you, previously?
It seems to, doesn't it? It seems somewhere online we would get involved, or we being me, you, Sally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really a case of reaching out. If there's anything you've got a question on, and that might be around eligibility, that might be around where I am in the business. I don't really want to go for a grant, but I sort of want to do this. It's all worth the conversation, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I say, we can always point businesses towards other support programs. We're involved in a number of support programs in Lincolnshire, so we could signpost to those, but we're also aware and have relationships with people who are delivering support in other areas. So that initial chat is the really important part of it.
Great. Thanks, Deborah. I'm just going to bring Sally back in just to join us on stage. Hi, Sally. Sorry to keep you waiting. I don't know. Hope you found that interesting as well. Actually, there's lots of stuff in there, isn't there? I've not got any questions. I've looked on the LinkedIn. I've not got anything in the chat up there. But I just wonder if you've got anything as a sort of final note you wanted to say. I know we're notionally between 1 and 2. We're well past the 10 to 2 bit, so we're well within the time. At no point repeating ourselves. But I don't know if you've got anything you want to add, Sally. By all means, do.
I do actually. Just listening, it's lovely to see it in its entirety. Obviously, I'm involved in it on a day-to-day basis, but it's super clear of how to get involved and what was happening. I think probably for most creative businesses, they always worry about, will you speak my language? Will you understand my sector? So I didn't know whether the pair of you could just sort of allude to how you do that, because I think that's always sometimes a stumbling block. As soon as you talk spreadsheets and business plans, it does scare some creative businesses, but not all, thankfully. But
so I think because like to us, business planning, I mean, like I've worked in businesses where you've had like a business plan that's like this, and like you get presented with it, and then I'll do some marketing strategy that's also like that, and it just gets tossed in a drawer, doesn't it? Nobody refers to it, nobody looks at it, and then at the end of 12 months someone digs it out and goes, oh, did we meet those objectives? No. Well, what a surprise, because nobody referred to it. Whereas actually what we've come up with is sort of a visioning tool. It's on one sheet. It gets people to kind of think about business or their practice, or however they want to refer to their creative entity, and the sort of titles around it are flexible according to whatever it is that they're aiming for. So whilst we talk about what your overall ambition and goal might be, actually only you as that business owner or creative practitioner really know what the key things are that's going to influence success in your field. I think Guy's got X years experience working in the creative sector. I'm sure he can talk for ages about that, but we do try and, we never mention spreadsheets because that just puts the fear of God into everybody, doesn't it? But we do try and make it, well, I think with all our programs, to be honest, we try and stay away from business language and jargon, because I think that's just it just closes doors, doesn't it, and switches people off. And it doesn't matter whether we're delivering in the creative sector or whether I'm talking to a business about, I don't know, I'm trying to think of who I'm dealing with at the moment, veterinary supplies business. I'm not talking in jargon to any of them. I'm talking in plain English and talking in a language that they understand and I understand, quite frankly, so that it's very clear for people. And if it's not clear, then say, what are you on?
I think that moving it away from the smoke and mirrors of what a business is really is helpful, because you want people to go away feeling empowered to be able to really understand their business. And I love the point you made about sometimes as an entrepreneur, you want to be involved in absolutely everything. But when you look at the value that you can add to a business, it's so important that you're guiding the right parts and you're maybe outsourcing to a freelancer or an expert the elements you don't know, but you've got the overarching sort of understanding of where you want to go or where the business needs to go. So it was really, really helpful. I think, as you say, I suppose my last point would be is just really for businesses who are considering it to actually go for it and apply, as you say. I think especially sometimes you start out in business, you go really well in the first year or so, and then suddenly you hit that brick wall because you don't know how to scale up. You had an ambition that your family and friends were presuming you were going to get to within the first couple of years, and you just reach a plateau. So things like this can be really, really useful to get you over that to that next level, and you know, and having a really good peer network around you as well. So make sure anybody applies. And as I say, a little bit like Guy, if anybody's got any queries, they can always drop me an email. I've got 25 years experience working in the creative industries in the UK and overseas. So again, I might not be able to give you all the knowledge that Guy and Deborah have, but you know, I'll give it a good go of signposting you to where you need to be.
So I'll just back what you both said as well. I mean, but both Deborah and I were involved. We created the Spark Grimsby program. You alluded to the film centre there. We spent 3 years with almost pre-startup, startup, existing creative sector businesses. We touched, we actually supported over 120 businesses. But when we started to look at data, we were uncovering that actually that northeast of Lincolnshire had, over 3,000 individuals who identified themselves as being in the creative sector. That's huge, but you don't see them all. They're not all practicing all the time. They're not all in full time. And we wanted to make sure that the programs we do are inclusive to all that. So the language is absolutely it. And I think one of the feedback we got from someone on the first Great Growth Program was it was great that it was so inclusive. In fact, all the language, everything, no one was excluded because they didn't understand the acronyms. We don't do acronyms. The rule is if you do an acronym, you've actually got to tell people what it means. If you don't, that's it. You got to sit down, you shut up. It's because it's about being inclusive and using stuff that people don't understand is definitely not the language we wanted to be in. So really good point, Sally. And I would say we'd always try, like we do in this Business Live, is break things down into what people understand, how they understand, present it in a way that makes some sense, and hopefully people can build on that and take that forward. But I also go back to say, Sally, I agree with you. Whatever you do out there, if you're interested, get in touch with somebody, because there's definitely some good support that will help you, and or signposting or whatever. There's a whole range of things. At this point, I've just noted time-wise, well, doesn't an hour go quickly? I'm going to leave you both on screen, but I just want to say, firstly, thanks to Deborah, thanks to Sally for joining us today, giving us all that information, loads and loads of links in LinkedIn. This is recorded, and if I find anything else I need to put in that, I'll put it in the comments. I just want to tell you about the next show, which we'll be looking at. We're looking across all that general business support programs that are available in Greater Lincolnshire and Rutland, and we'll be joined by Angela Driver, the Growth Hub Senior Manager at Business Lincolnshire, Harry Haslam, the Growth Hub Advisor for South Kesteven and Rutland, and the newest recruit to the Growth Hub is Sarah Anion. She's the Growth Hub Advisor for West Lindsey. So the date to put in your diary is Tuesday, the 25th of June, 1 p.m. here on the LinkedIn channel. And what we're going to do is look holistically at all support and other things that are coming up from Business Lincolnshire. So let's say thanks again to Deborah, thanks again to Sally for joining us. Hope you've had a good lunchtime. And to everyone else, I'll see you next month. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks.